afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Board of Directors of the HART meeting. Will everyone please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have to have the approval of the minutes, the first public hearing on the tentative millage rate and budget regular meeting of the Board of Directors from September 10th, 2018. May I have a motion for both of those? Motion by Commissioner Kemp, second by Mr. McLean to accept the minutes from both meetings. See no further discussion. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion is adopted. Public input on the agenda items. We have anyone? No one. Okay. Mr. Seward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is a privilege tonight and just a twang of sadness that we are going to recognize our Director of Service Planning, Mr. Steve Fingenbaum, who is retiring. Some words about Mr. Fingenbaum. He was hired in March. He was hired on March 22nd, 2004. He started his employment at HART as a planning manager for land use and performance monitoring. Before coming to HART, Steve worked for Transportation Services Associates in Kansas City and the Kansas Public Transit Association. Some of the highlights from Steve's career at HART include integrating service scheduling with service planning, the FY2006 Vision Plan TDP, development of the service plan and the Rapid Transit Investment Plan for the 2010 referenda, increasing service on nights, holidays, and weekends, numerous community outreaches and service planning for the Go Hillsborough process, running and processing at least 3 markups each year on time, and the 2017 Comprehensive Operations Analysis TDP, which led to our Mission Max. Steve has organized a staff of 10 employees, including 2 managers, into a cohesive team of people dedicated to provide the best scheduling and planning services available. His staff is often called upon to present at state and national conferences for program vendors and other transportation specialists. This is a high compliment to Steve's leadership. And last but not least, Steve is an outrageous Iowa Hawkeye fan, which I also have near and dear to my heart. So with that, I want to have Steve come up. Oh, look, it's all secretly right. Or crystal bus. I don't think it's crystal. But it,
okay. Well, I'll assume it is.
It is. Thank you for your service, Steve.
Okay.
We appreciate it. And with this, come on over here.
Thank you.
Here's our photo.
Oh, photo op. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Steve.
Okay. I promise to be brief, and I usually try to keep my promises. It's been nearly 15 years since I came here to HART from Kansas City, and the times have been interesting for sure, maybe sometimes too interesting. But I really want to give a big shout out to my staff. I think I'm only as good as the staff, and I've been blessed with a really great staff. They make me look good when I probably don't deserve to look good. They don't make me, well, I won't say they make me look bad, but no, they're good. I have a great staff, and they really make my job easy, and maybe sometimes too easy. I also want to thank everybody on the HART team. We really are a team, and we rise and fall, we succeed or fail as a team, and I very much appreciate all the help and assistance I've gotten from the entire HART team. I think the work that we do here is important. Every day we get thousands of people to jobs. We also are able to get people to their medical appointments, to get them to shopping and to whatever it is they need in order to enhance their lives. And I think that is an extremely important thing. We're an economic lifeline to people. And we don't think very often of transit as an essential economic factor in a vibrant economy, but it is. It's without it, again, we disenfranchise so many people. I'm very proud of the fact that we have been able to serve that community, that public. We're staying here in the Tampa area, so I'm going to keep on the sidelines, but I'll be watching what goes on. And the best of luck to HART in all their future endeavors. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Seward. We're now moving to discussion item extension of the interim chief executive officer's agreement. Mr. Smith.
Yes, good evening. As you may recall, last board meeting it was decided to slow down the CEO search a little bit. As a consequence of that, we have a time period ticking on the current interim CEO agreement. That time period expires in November. Given the time frame associated with the CEO search, we need to extend it, it looks like at least till March. So what I've done is I have revised the interim CEO contract to extend it to March 31, 2019. The only other item in there is a paragraph that talks about providing what is normally the across-the-board raise appropriate for the personnel of HART based upon their evaluation process. And that is a one-time payment. It's not really a raise, it's an annual bonus. It's paid in a lump sum. Based upon evaluation that this board did, which was I think summarized in the May 2017 agenda, the evaluation for the interim CEO came out at 4.1, I believe it was. Yes, it was 4.1. You've got five categories of analysis. Unacceptable is 1. Needs improvement is 2. Meets expectations is 3. Exceeds expectations is 4. And outstanding performance is 5. So 4.1 grade average, for lack of a better term, is on the category of exceeds expectations. The across-the-board bonus that is paid, I'm not sure I'm using quite the right vernacular, but the payment is typically made on an annual basis. If you would go with the evaluation summary that you have, it would be 4, which would be the raise associated with exceeds expectations. In my conversation with the CEO, we were talking about the raise associated with 3. I'm not entirely sure why, but at 3, it's 3%. I think at 4, it's more than that. Is it 4%, if I got that correct? So I have drafted the provision. I believe I put the 3 in the category, but more as a placeholder. That's not my decision. That's the board's decision. And to my knowledge, there was no board action on that specific issue. So 2 things I'd like you to do. I'd like you to approve the extension of the contract, having it expire on March 31st, and direct me what to put in the provision with respect to the annual bonus, and then authorize your chairman to sign that once we get that completed. Any questions?
Commissioner Kemp, you recognize.
I'd just like to move the item to recognize, to do the extension and to include a 4% bonus, as would be by a 4.1% evaluation.
We're going to take them separately. We're going to take them separately.
Separately?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll move to the extension of the contract.
Is there a second? Second. Okay. There's a motion by Commissioner Kemp, second by Mr. Knight and Mr. Harden. Is there further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion is adopted. Commissioner Kemp, you recognize. I'd
like to make a motion to include a 4% bonus as appropriate for a 4.1 evaluation.
Is there a second? Who seconded? Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Kemp, second by Councilwoman Donahue. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, let them know by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion is adopted. Anything else, Mr. Smith?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Presentations, Mr. Seward, Regional Transit Feasibility Plan.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. On October of 2016, HART engaged Jacobs Engineering on behalf of the region to work on a regional transit feasibility plan, or RTFP, with the goal to develop a catalyst project recommendation to provide to TBARDA for further evaluation. Tonight, the 2 years has been completed by Jacobs. What we would like to do is to have Jacobs complete the requirements of the contract, which is a presentation tonight on what was accomplished, the deliverable over the last year, or the last 2 years, and the next steps as far as the handoff to TBARDA is concerned.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board members. My name is Rosana Correa. I'm the contract manager on behalf of Jacobs Engineering.
Scott Pringle with WSP.
This 2-year, the 2-year effort started back in October 2016 and builds upon a review of more than 55 transportation studies that have been completed in the area for the last 30 years. The plan has 2 phases. Phase 1 that consisted of the step 1, 2, and 3 that is shown on the screen. And that phase 1 focused on several technical evaluation. And then phase 2 was the community vetting period. And the team did over 220 meetings and presentation, including one-on-one meetings and presentations throughout the Speaker Bureau program. The feasibility plan, any feasibility plan consists on defining a corridor and the mode that will be operating on that corridor. And we went also and defined like a project that can be implemented on that particular corridor across the region. The contract administrator for this study was HART, with funds provided by DOT. Through the 2-year process, we received input from the Tampa Bay TMA leadership group and TBARTA, as well as the public. And TBARTA is the recipient of the Regional Transit Feasibility Plan recommendation described in the Memorandum of Understanding between TBARTA, DOT, the 3 MPOs, and the 3 transit agencies. We evaluated the feasibility of regional transit plan across the region. We defined, including several projects along the Tampa Bay region, and we identify an initial project that will be competitive for transit for federal and state dollars. And with that, I'll let Scott to discuss the next steps.
Thank you, Rosanna. So now that we're getting towards the completion of the contract, really the next steps will be a presentation of the recommendation to TBARTA on November 16th. As Rosanna mentioned, under the Memorandum of Understanding between the different agencies, TBARTA is the recipient of that recommendation and will begin that conversation regarding either the technical recommendations as well as what we're hearing from the public outreach that we've done over the past several months. TBARTA, either at the November meeting, we also have an opportunity if we need to follow up in December to have a continued conversation. The idea or the concept is that at that point, TBARTA would take an action or endorse a project to move forward into the next step. That next step would be FTA project development or FDOT PD&E study. The Department of Transportation, District 7, already has $5 million committed in their work program to conduct that next phase of the plan. They're really just waiting on that recommendation from TBARTA. So it is project development or PD&E. So some of the things you could come to expect in the next step will be a full review of the environmental compliance, making sure that we're doing the entire NEPA checklist, and a couple of other items specifically revolving around preliminary engineering. There are a number of items that are on the table for discussion that we've heard through community outreach over the past couple of months regarding the running way for the corridor. Again, it's very appropriate to continue that conversation into the next step and really get that engineering level of detail provided so that we can have a good conversation about exactly what that running way is, how much of it's dedicated, how much of it's with mixed traffic. Same goes for the station locations. So we're going to continue to investigate and looking towards the exact location of stations, the amount of stations, and the type of amenities. And that, again, is also very appropriate for that next phase, for that PD&E phase. As Rosanna mentioned up front, sort of the primary obligations from the scope of services in the HART contract was identifying that regional vision. We have done that. As you can see here, there's over approximately about 20 different projects that we've identified in that regional vision. They include everything from ferries to bus rapid transit to rail projects or potentials. Out of that vision, we started going through the evaluation process to identify what could be that initial project, or we've been terming it as the catalyst project, to begin and advanced into that next phase. Really came down to two projects, which is BRT on the I-275 interstate, as well as the CSX corridor. And we'll be presenting all the information related to both of those recommendations to TBARDA in November. As Rosanna mentioned, we've done several hundred public outreach meetings. We've had a forum, held our survey. We've gotten over 3,000 comments on the project itself, and incorporating all those comments into possible enhancements or changes to the technical recommendations that we identified in January. And to date, we've gotten a couple of different endorsements. The City of St. Petersburg passed a resolution of support for the regional plan. Ford Pinellas, Pasco MPO, the same, also passed resolutions of support for the regional transit feasibility plan, as well as we've gotten a number of different comments and general support from the business community. So that was a pretty quick summary of where we are to date, and that really concludes our presentation. We'll take any questions, Mr. Chair.
Any questions? Commissioner Kemp, you're recognized.
I've had, as you know, criticisms of this all along, and the lack of discussion and the lack of detail and any information. But I'll just ask this generally, since I've never quite gotten an answer nor understood. I have two questions, actually. One is about the fact that it's a $455 billion plan with basically $430 million in what I'm calling Taj Mahal parking garages. There's only 11 buses in it, which, if maxed out, could carry 330 people an hour, yet built into this plan, as it's stated now, is 9,000 parking spaces. So if it can only carry 330 people an hour, I'm just wondering why in the world, with 80% of people who walk to transit, would we be even looking at 9,000 parking spaces?
So I'll answer your question about the cost first, Commissioner. As we presented in January and February of this year, the overall station cost as a component of the 455 is actually $288 million. So it's approximately 63% of the overall project cost. That includes pedestrian improvements, ADA accessibility, the platforms themselves, signage. It does include parking. I think, to your point, Commissioner, the parking is something that, as we go into the next step, we definitely want to take a more detailed look at that. We conservatively assumed enough parking for the riders, the daily ridership at all the stations across the entire system. It's a great way to make sure that our costs are conservative, knowing that as we get more details, we'll be able to finalize those cost estimates. So it's something we can continue to look at in the next phase. It actually gives us a little bit of flexibility in the overall project cost by being conservative with parking.
If I could just, on the cost there. So I know there's only 11 buses in there for $15 million, and there's $13 million for signalization. And other than that, that $28 million is all I could find for anything. So then we have like a $100 million gap between what you're saying. So what is that $100 million for, since we supposedly got presented with financial information, but I've never been able to discern it?
The difference is, and I can certainly follow up with you, Commissioner, the difference is the maintenance facility that we had to assume to accommodate that new service, a maintenance facility, including the right-of-way for that maintenance facility. We also include, and actually it's something very traditional to the FTA process, we include an unallocated contingency because they are planning level cost estimates, so additional flexibility and conservative approach to those cost estimates. It also includes any power and fare collection at the stations themselves, so all the system components as well for the entire plan, for the entire project. So that's some of that differential.
Okay, I'll let all that go for now. My criticism still stands as far as I'm concerned, but further than that, you have recommendations on here for rail. the CSX, and I just think it's unclear to people throughout the region, and I've said this at T-BARTA. T-BARTA is barred from doing anything with rail, any advocacy, any follow-up. They're barred in statute by that. So I'd like to make it clear to anyone that, because I keep hearing at T-BARTA, I think they may stop throwing that out now, but that there cannot possibly be any plan that T-BARTA has for rail, that's prohibited by their statute at this time.
Understood, Commissioner. The only comment I would have on that, and again, this is my personal interpretation of the statute, it's not that it's barred, it would require that T-BARTA go back to Tallahassee for approval for a rail recommendation.
Well, actually,
Commissioner Kemp, let's bring this in.
I would just say, though, that their legal opinion was that it was barred, that we got last month. So I just wanted to say that. So I'm finished. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Moving to action items, State Legislative Service Discipline Presentation. Ms. Zambella.
Good afternoon. For the record, Cindy Zambella, Interim Director of Procurement. Before you today is a resolution authorizing the Interim Chief Executive to award a contract for state legislative contract services for a 2-year term with 2 one-year options to affirm that the board will select today following brief presentations by the candidates that were invited to be here today. As you recall, HART's contract with the advocacy group terminated in June of this year. On July 17th of this year, an RFP for state legislative services was issued in compliance with the procurement policies. An overview of those services is contained in your packet. I was not going to go over those today, but they are outlined in your packet. The solicitation was posted on HART's website and DemandStar with direct notices sent to 8 firms and was downloaded by 13 firms from the website as well as 5 from DemandStar. 3 proposals were received on August 15th, which was the due date. On August 17th, the evaluation packages were provided to the evaluation committee for each to independently score and evaluate. The committee was comprised of the following members. Director Richard McLean, who is our board vice chair, as well as the chair of the Legislative and Strategic Planning Committee. Director McLean did not score the evaluations, but reviewed and served as an advisor in an oversight capacity to the process. Jerry Presley, Senior Manager of Government Relations and Business Relations for HART. Leroy Moore, Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of the Tampa Housing Authority. Gina Evans, Director of Government Relations of the Tampa International Airport. And Ms. Ann Kulig, Executive Director of West Shore Alliance. The evaluation committee met on September 4th and reviewed the scores. Technical merit was valued at 700 points and price was given 300 points for a total of 1,000 points. The top 2 candidates scored as follows. Holland and Knight, technical score 649 points, price 300 for a total score of 949 points. They ranked number 1. And Capital City Consultant, 628 for technical, 288 for price for a total of 916. They ranked number 2. The prices were both determined to be fair and reasonable and in line with the independent cost estimates. At the time that the evaluation committee met, they determined that the 2 top offers should present to the board today for you to consider before making a final decision. I asked each firm to give a very brief 5-minute presentation with an overview of the proposal, as well as to talk about why they think their firm is best suited to be an advocate for HART. The candidates are going to present today in alphabetical order, with Mr. Justin Day representing Capital City and Ms. Kimberly Case representing Holland and Knight. After each presentation, you'll have a brief question and answer period. We'll ask the candidates both to come back in after and be present for your deliberation and your final decision. So at this time, we'll ask Holland and Knight if they'll leave the room.
I think you meant Kimberly Case, not Justin.
She said Kimberly Case.
Kimberly Case with Holland and Knight, and Justin Day with
Capital.
Capital.
Okay.
So we're going in the order of the alphabetical order of the firm name. So. Right, so we'll ask Justin Day to come to the podium.
All right, good morning or afternoon. I'm used to these being in the morning, so you caught me off guard. Justin Day with Capital City Consulting, and many of you have seen my face before, but I am with a new firm now. I changed firms back in April and moved over to Capital City Consulting, and I opened up their Tampa office. I want to thank each of you for the opportunity to present to you this morning or today. I, along with Secretary Boxhold, will be the point people on this account. But I do want to let each of you know that both my colleagues, Ron LaFace and Nick Irossi, are both here as well, and we'll be talking here in a minute, that all four of us, along with the other 9 members of our firm, will be available to you and have a vested interest in making sure that HART is successful in Tallahassee. I have enjoyed my time representing this agency for the last 6 years. I think the best way to be judged in a job interview, and I think that's what this is to look at past experience. And so I'd like to just lay out a couple of successes that I believe we've had in my former role with HART, and that is, number one, building relationships, strong relationships with the Hillsborough County delegation, the Bald delegation, leadership in the House and the Senate, as well as leadership at FDOT. I also, when I first was brought on, those of you who've been on the board for a few years now will remember that there was a fight to have a legislative mandated merger of HART and PSTA. And the board's request for the first 3 years of me representing this agency was to fight that request. And obviously, we put a plan and an action item together. And as we're here today, we are not merged and still have 2 separate entities. Also worked with the Florida Department of Agriculture on their compressed natural gas rebate program. This was a program that allocated funds, tax rebates, to public and private entities that switched from gas and diesel to CNG vehicles. And at one point, HART was the largest receiver of this tax rebate. We also, 2 years ago, were able to secure legislative approval of $300,000 for the Hyperlink project. And then this past year, received $2.3 million from FDOT, working with Jeff and your team here for the bus maintenance facility. And then lastly, I think it's also important to just point out this number, but since my 6 years representing HART, we've also received over $40 million in FDOT grants. And while I'm not going to stand here today and take credit for $40 million of grants, I think my colleague who will be up after me, former Secretary Boxhold, will tell you relationships matter, trust matters, and I think that's something that I brought to this agency and been able to help you and working with Jeff and your leadership build those relationships and build that trust with DOT so they felt comfortable supporting HART. And so with that, with the rest of our time, I know we've got a short time frame. I'm going to invite Secretary Boxhold.
Good afternoon. It's good to be here. I really appreciate the introduction, Justin. As he mentioned, I was the DOT secretary from 2014 through January of 2017 when I came over to Capital City. I think Justin has done a great job for HART over the years, but I really want to underscore why you have several people from the firm, including the 2 owners of Capital City here today, and that's that we take a team approach in representing our clients. And what that means is that you get the benefit of all of our expertise. Obviously, Justin's here in Tampa Bay, understands HART and the issues here in Tampa. In terms of my experience at DOT, not only do you have the value of those relationships, but you have an understanding of why DOT makes the decisions that it does. And it gives you an ability to craft your approach and your ask to DOT in a way that will maximize your success. And then obviously Ron and Nick will talk about the firm's long history and our deep relationship with the Florida legislature. You know, when I was at DOT, I was deeply involved in the transportation issues here in Tampa Bay. I was actually the secretary that paused the TBX project so that it could be recast and more sensitive to the local neighborhood concerns and have a more robust emphasis on transit, which I think you heard a little bit about earlier. And so I would respectfully submit to you that you're not going to find another firm with a better understanding of the transportation needs here in Tampa, with how to interact with the system in Tallahassee and with transportation. And so with that, I would request your consideration. And I'd be happy to introduce Nick Irossi from our firm.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Nick Irossi and Ron LaFace were the 2 owners of Capital City Consulting. We started the firm in 2003. It's actually been 15 years, but our time in the process started before that. We both worked, I worked in the House and the Senate. Ron came from the executive agencies. We both kind of starting this process right out of law school, and since starting Capital City Consulting, built it into one of the largest and most successful firms in the state. You've seen a couple of our folks here, but we've got 13 lobbyists at the firm, all with various expertise from various backgrounds, both in the executive branch and the legislative branch. So there's not an area that we don't have a level of expertise in or a relationship that we can't manage on behalf of you guys. So I hope we have the opportunity to work with y'all. I know Justin's done a good job, and I hope that you'll continue to work with him through our firm. Thank you.
And good evening, Ron LaFace. Just to add to what Nick said, Tampa is our first satellite office of Capital City Consulting, but we had been wanting to become members of the Tampa community for many years. Both Nick's brother and my brother have established roots in Tampa. They both reside here, are raising families here, and so this was a place that we wanted our firm to first start establishing its first satellite office in the community. So I wanted to point out our ties to Tampa before Justin became available, but that's the reason why we're here tonight. So thank you.
So with that, we'll take any questions.
Any questions? Any questions? Gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Wow. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll bring up Kimberly Case with Holland and Knight.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, I'm Kimberly Case, representing Holland and Knight in Tallahassee. I'm a senior policy advisor at the firm, and it's an honor to be with you today, and we appreciate being given this opportunity. Holland and Knight is a global law firm with a strong Florida presence. We've been representing clients in Tallahassee for the past 30 years. We also have a long history with HART, beginning with Governor Bob Martinez, who in 1979 appointed the first members of HART here in this area. He was also one of the strong advocates and has continued to be for finding a revenue source for HART. Since 2000, Holland and Knight has represented HART in Tallahassee, and we have a proven track record of getting results for HART in Washington. We believe that Holland and Knight is uniquely positioned to represent Tallahassee because of our team's experience and history. I would be your day-to-day contact of the team. I have 20 years of experience in state government, 5 years as a staffer in the Florida House, 10 years as the Legislative Affairs Director for 3 different statewide elected officials, and then 6 years representing Holland and Knight clients in Tallahassee in both the legislative and executive branches of government. Governor Martinez, who is here with me today, brings 43 years of experience as a mayor of Tampa, as the governor of Florida, as a drug czar, and as the chair of our Florida government advocacy team. He would be an integral member of our team and would engage in any high-level meetings that we would schedule for you in Tallahassee with the governor, executive agency heads, and presiding officers in the Florida House and Senate. Mark Delegal, the third member of our team, brings more than 23 years of experience in government affairs and public policy. Mark and I served together on several teams, both the City of West Palm Beach and Osceola County, and he would coordinate closely with me and you on day-to-day contact. And finally, Jim Davis, former congressman from Tampa, former state legislator from Tampa, he brings a wealth of knowledge to our team, and he would be our liaison at the federal level and would be able to leverage Holland and Knight's relationships and ensure a seamless integration between our federal lobbying team and our state lobbying team. The team we have assembled will bring their expertise, knowledge, and relationships to help you address your fiscal and your policy needs in Tallahassee. We're performance-driven and have a track record of getting things done for clients in Tallahassee. I'll just highlight a few recent successes. These are not all of them, just a few. But we, this past year, got $300,000 for a historic African-American community in West Palm Beach that's connected directly to downtown to help them with some of their road issues and lighting. We got $400,000 for the Broadway corridor to address storm runoff as well as beautification of streets and walkability connected to downtown West Palm Beach. Over several years, we received $3 million for Lowry Park Zoo, which I believe is now called Zoo Tampa at Lowry Park, to help them with their manatee hospital. And finally, over the course of 4 years, we've gotten $29 million in appropriations for a high-tech sensor fabricator in Osceola County. So those are a few of the successes, but we do have a proven track record that we think can translate well for HART in Tallahassee. We believe that public transportation must be an integral part of Florida's infrastructure and must be recognized as an economic driver. We're committed to taking that message to Tallahassee for you. If selected, we would coordinate an intensive strategic planning to really immerse ourselves in what your issues are and help craft policy objectives and a strategy for going forward. We would identify key relationships that we have with key legislators, committee staff, executive agencies, as well as your relationships. And we would also work on fostering relationships with many of the newly elected legislators that are going to be coming from Tampa. We would arrange high-level meetings in Tallahassee and from start to finish keep you informed weekly, daily, whatever you need to ensure that your budget and fiscal priorities all the way through the process are tracked, monitored, and advocated for as needed. Please know that we would consider it a privilege to represent you in Tallahassee and help you achieve your policy and fiscal objectives. Thank you. We would be happy to take any questions from our team if you have any at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Zambella.
If there are no questions of the procurement process, then we would just ask for you to decide on who you would like the interim chief executive officer to award the contract to.
Would you want them in here while we do that discussion or not?
That's fine. I think it's certainly appropriate to do that.
I don't think, I'm seeing some heads now. I think they need to excuse themselves.
I think in previous ones they were in there, so it really depends on your
pleasure.
So.
It's going to be a little different this time.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's sunshine. They can see it later on. What's your pleasure? Commissioner Merman, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Obviously, I'll support the committee's recommendation and make a motion to do so, but I do want to make a comment. The process used this year is different than the process we have used in previous years. Previously, the procurement department gave the legislative committee their recommendations, and then our committee interviewed the people. And I really think that's important, and because right now only one board member has seen these proposals or done that, and our committee, of course, has not met quite a few months. So I'm just saying in the future, you know, assuming your chair or whatever in that seat, I'd like to see us go back to the old way where we have the procurement department recommend to our committee, and then we do the interviews.
Duly noted. Mr. Menendez. Wait, hold on. Did you make a motion?
I just wanted to second the motion.
Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Merman, second by Commissioner Kemp to offer the contract to Holland and Knight.
Holland and Knight.
Okay. Mr. Menendez, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to acknowledge a couple of things, especially since we have some new board members. Having been through this process and experienced the service that I'd say Justin has provided, he was actually with a different firm. I just wanted to acknowledge I think the good work that he's done, and I think he did a good job of outlining the contributions that have been made. And I think that's something to consider, or at least acknowledge and recognize. One thing I did notice, and I definitely acknowledge Commissioner Merman, your comments about the process. I remember, that it was done differently, and I think one of the things about this process is, while there were some respected individuals that were part of that evaluation, it didn't have as much involvement from us, and I think that that's important. So again, but full respect for both firms. I just wanted to acknowledge that the work that Justin Day has done. So.
Any further discussion? Mr. Mechanic, recognized.
Two questions.
Pull your microphone down. Pull your microphone.
I'm sorry?
Pull your mic down. Yeah.
What firm had the contract that expired in June, and what firm do we use for the federal liaison work?
It was the advocacy group that had the state contract earlier, and we used Holland and Knight for federal.
Okay, and the advocacy group is where Justin was prior to...
Correct.
Okay. Yes.
Any further questions? So the motion we're going to be dealing with is for the resolution 2018-09-18.
Correct.
So it will be authorized interim chief executive officer to award a contract for state legislative consulting services to Holland and Knight. Is that the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposers likewise. Motion is adopted. Bring them in. Let them know what they got. Okay. Resolution 2018-0950, approve a three-year extension on the operator's agreement for the Tico Line streetcar system. Who's doing that? Mr. Allen. Mr. Allen.
Good afternoon. This resolution is to extend the operating agreement between Hillsborough Area Regional Transit and Tampa Historic Streetcar. The current agreement will expire on September 30th, and this extension would extend it from October 1st, 2018 to September 30th, 2019.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, what's your pleasure? Motion by Commissioner Merman, second by Commissioner Kemp and Mr. McLean to accept the resolution. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed likewise. Motion is adopted. Resolution 2018-0951, authorization of board members' travel. Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item is authorization for Directors Donahue, Kemp, Melendez, Miller, and Williams to travel to Washington, D.C. on November 27th through the 30th to attend the APTA 2018 and Industry Leadership Summit with Transit Board Members Governance Workshop. And I have listed your name, Mr. Chair, in case you can go, just so we don't have to come back again to do this. This is a great opportunity for board members to talk with other board members, not yourselves, but other board members across the country on what they're seeing as far as trends, issues with governing transit bodies across the country. It's a great opportunity, and those were the names that we had received back through Ms. Pettit. If anyone else wants to attend as well, we can obviously add that to the approval list now. But this will, since we don't meet in October, this is the last opportunity to get this approved so we can book the travel.
And the question with me is, I'm having back surgery on the 18th of October, so I don't know if I'll be able to travel. More than likely I won't, but that's up to the doctor. Mr. Knight, I saw your hand.
Yeah, I'd like to be considered. Company, make sure.
Mr. Knight. Mr. McLean, you recognize.
I just want to say, I went last year, Jeff and I went last year. It's a great conference if you haven't been there. Very educational and all. So I would always say yes, I'd go again if we need to. So.
Commissioner Merman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So is this $2,425.03 per board member? Per?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay. I hate to be a creature of the past, but in the past we've only paid for one to go, and so I'm not going to be able to support this item because I think only one should go at that amount. You know, everybody's watching us right now. We know we need money. We talk about how underfunded we are, and I'm just going to stay with the program.
Any other? Discussion. Commissioner Kemp.
I just want to move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kemp, second by Mr. McLean. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed likewise? All those in favor, let it be known by raising your hand. All opposed? Motion is adopted. Did we get to this, I'm sorry, the Resolution 2018-0952, authorizing interim chief executive officer to execute a joint participation agreement.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution, R 2018-09-52, authorizes myself to execute a joint participation agreement, JPA, with FDOT for the $2.6 million over the next 3 years that is being used for the streetcar, the TICO streetcar service enhancements. This solidifies our arrangement with FDOT.
Any discussion? Motion by Mr. Merman, second by Commissioner Kemp. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion. Who's an nay? Motion is adopted. Interim Chief Executive Director's report.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. First and foremost, since we were on the topic of awarding our state legislative consultant this evening, I wanted to talk about a setting up of the Legislative and Strategic Planning Committee meeting. We had talked prior, a few minutes ago, concerning this and the use of this committee. We are setting up a meeting on October 29th, now that we have our state legislative lobbyists in place, to have a workshop with this committee to set forth the state legislative agenda for the coming session. I will say that the reason this committee has not met over the last few months is we have had, Ms. Pettit has had a very impossible job of trying to coordinate schedules of the committee members. So it wasn't a lack of oversight of not having the committee, it was the inability to schedule the committee with more than 2 members at any given time. So we feel that we are close to having a quorum for the 29th. We will move forward. More information will come out prior to that on how the committee will be organized, since it is going to be a workshop. I'll work with Director McLean to set up the logistics of that. It is a committee meeting, but we will be a little informal, as we will have staff present as well as our lobbyists to talk about what the legislative priorities will be. Given we wanted to have it after the referendum vote, but we just don't have enough time to have another meeting in the month of November. So we're going to have it on the 29th with 2 tracks. A legislative agenda that is status quo, how we operate right now with our current ad valorem funding. Legislative agenda track 2 is if we're receiving sales tax post-November referendum. So that'll be a roll up our sleeves workshop that I'm happy to say is now scheduled for October 29th. The second item I'd like to talk about and actually provide a thank you to the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners. Last week, we received a commendation. Thank you, Commissioners, for the work that HART has done over the year. And we wanted to thank you for that recognition. And thank you specifically, Commissioner Kemp, for having that done. Thank you. Next item, a quick update on our autonomous vehicle project. I had mentioned a month or so ago that, Mr. Chair.
I'd just like the board to know that the commendation was for the illustrious 13, which are 13 bus drivers, 2 that did 2 million miles without any accident that they precipitated. The other 11 were 1 million mile drivers. And also Ms. Kenyatta Lee, who received Businesswoman of the Year in the Tampa Bay Business Journal. So I think we also need to recognize them at HART at a future meeting, but it's been a great year for HART, and I just wanted to throw some specifics in for this board.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
A quick AV update. A month or so ago, I had mentioned that we were deferring the approval of that contract until November. I wanted to let the board know that right now, based on our conversations with our Holland and Knight lobbyists in Washington, as well as others in the industry, the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration is no longer providing waivers for the use of AV vehicles on streets that share traffic with shared traffic. You can get a waiver for AV vehicles that are on a single non-use track or a private corridor with no shared traffic whatsoever. So we have until, actually it's deferred to the December board meeting. We have notified our potential vendor that we are going to wait to see what happens with the potential legislation. We understand from Holland and Knight that most likely there will be no action until after the midterms, which does not come as a shock. However, we do have a best and final offer from this vendor that expires on December 31st. We will have to take that into evaluation. I will keep you posted with our conversations with these organizations. Right now, I'm preparing letters for myself and for the chair to sign to our congressional delegation, as well as Senator Brandis at the state level, explaining our predicament and hoping we can get some traction and at least some insight on where we are. We are not the only project statewide or nationwide that's being affected by this right now. So I will continue to provide you updates as I get them. Next, in front of you, you have a flyer. The resolution that was passed, this solidified the JPA for our streetcar service for the next year. We are going to see a 75% increase in service for the streetcar starting October 7th, something that we're very proud of and excited for. And to that point, you will be, if not, I've already received invitations to our ribbon cutting on October the 12th. We have our confirmed VIP speakers. Mayor Bob Buckhorn confirmed today that he will be present and speak. Former Mayor of Tampa, Dick Greco, will be there and speaking. THS President Michael English, as well as District Secretary of Transportation, District 7, David Gwynn, will be there. And we've also extended the invitations to the elected officials and mayors of our municipalities that we serve, as well as across the Bay for other partners in the region. We're really excited about this event. We're really looking at turning the streetcar into a true commuting option for those in the downtown urban core. And as we get more information on this event, we'll be sending flyers around to you as well. Last but not least, and I have to do a shameless plug, that our MVP Express, we talked about the premium shuttle service express that we're starting as a pilot for the Ray J games, starts on November 11th. For the first time, and the reason I waved the flag, for the first time ever, HART actually has a relationship now where we're working with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for in-kind contributions in support of the MVP. So that's something that we haven't really engaged before. We have a professional sports team. We engage a lot with the Lightning with the streetcar, but we haven't really done anything with the Buccaneers. That's going to change, and it is starting to change. So we are working very extensively on getting the word out on this, including the ability for the Buccaneers to help promote. We are also, today I signed the agreements for the use of the high schools. We're working with the school board as well for park and rides. I signed the agreements today for the park and rides for the school board. We're providing security and porta potties and such for those. But again, this is something we've never done before. We want to give it a test run, so to speak, see what success we have this year. And again, we really want to leverage the relationship we're forming with the Buccaneers. And a shout out to staff, Miss Lee, who is not here. She and Miss Burkhardt are in Nashville at the APTA conference tonight. But also Miss Vanessa Brooks, who has been instrumental working with the Buccaneers getting this arrangement. So thank you to staff, and we're looking very forward to a good program and a good football year on all facets. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. I don't have a report. General Counsel.
Yes, sir. In light of the discussion we had previously on APTA, I feel it's incumbent upon me to provide a cautionary suggestion. Although you may attend APTA in similar events in concert with other board members, it doesn't repeal the Sunshine Act. So you need to be careful about having private colloquies and discussions. You can certainly listen to the speakers, you can certainly respond to the speakers and participate in that manner, but please do not have separate conversations with fellow board members on anything that you are exposed to in the conference. One of the things you can do to cure a Sunshine Act violation is disclosure. So one of the things we might suggest we do when you return from NAPTA is provide a quick update to the entire board, because at the same time you are perhaps disclosing any conversations or subject matters that may have been discussed, and that could be a curative measure. So just a cautionary tale, and enjoy your visit at APTA. And one of the things we're going to do, I know we have new board members who may not be familiar with some of the requirements of Chapter 119, the Public Records Law, and Chapter 286, Sunshine Act, as well as Chapter 112, the Ethics Code. They are a quagmire. So we're going to provide you a little summary and some written material to try to keep you out of trouble. You can get in trouble even doing a really good job. Believe me, it's not hard to run afoul of some of the requirements. It's not just good faith. It requires some knowledge of how it goes. So anyway, that's it. Just wanted to give a caution.
Well put. Thank you very much for bringing that forward. Very good. Any public input? No public input? Any old business? Any new business? This meeting is adjourned, and we will move into the budget hearing in 4 minutes.
This is for citizens.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Good meeting, Russ.
Thank you. Thank you much.
How are you?
Hey, Mel, how you doing?
I really helped get it going. No, I don't care. I'm the one that made the calls. They pulled the bucks in. And they worked.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Heard everything they needed to hear from the last meeting we were at. No, the last meeting was Monday. We had the big crowd. But yesterday they decided they said enough. Good for me. Weather notice that we're expecting some storms to come through here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's why I want to get the heck out of here. Yep. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Knight asked to be added, no one made a motion to add him to the list. Are we going to assume it was added by affirmation because nobody objected?
No, he said I'm going to be added. No one objected, so it should have been added to the list.
You got that?
I'm sorry?
Just so you know, Mr. Knight was added by affirmation.
He said he wanted to be added, nobody objected, so we're considering. Okay.
Oh, so we are including?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, that's fine. And we won't know about you for a while, right?
No, I probably won't go, but I'll let you know. Okay. We call the second and final public hearing of the budget to order. I hereby open the public hearing this evening on the fiscal year 2019 millage rate and annual budget for Hillsborough Transit Authority. Anyone may wish to speak this evening will need to sign in and identify themselves. At a duly advertised public hearing on September 10th, 2018, the HART Board of Directors adopted the tentative fiscal year 2019 millage rate and tentative fiscal year 2019 HART annual budget. Tonight, the HART Board of Directors approves the final millage and budget for the fiscal year 2019. On the table at the back of the room, we have made available to you documents summarizing the fiscal year 2019 millage rate and annual budget. These documents include the agenda for tonight's public hearing, which I will outline. We will consider the adoption of the following resolutions. A resolution to adopt the levying of ad valorem taxes and the final fiscal year 2019 millage rate. A resolution adopting the final fiscal year 2019 annual budget. Each part of the hearing will be conducted as follows. HART staff will present the final fiscal year 2019 budget overview. The board will then open the floor for citizen comments regarding only the final millage and/or final budget. In order to expedite hearing from everyone who wishes to speak, speakers' comments are limited to 3 minutes. After citizen comments, the board will then take action to move for approval any changes. Staff will read the resolution to the board for approval. The board will move approval for required resolution adopting the final fiscal year 2019 millage rate and annual budget in that order. Prior to our discussion on resolutions, we are required by state statute to discuss the final fiscal year 2019 millage rate and final fiscal 2019 annual budget. Staff will now present the budget overview.
This is the second and final required public hearing on the fiscal year 2019 millage rate and annual budget. The tentative fiscal year 2019 not to exceed millage rate was set at the July 16, 2018 board meeting and provided to the property appraiser on July 16, 2018 in conformance with state law. The final fiscal year 2019 millage rate of 0.5 mils is the same as the adopted fiscal year 2018 millage rate of 0.5 mils. The final fiscal year 2019 millage rate is 7.07% more than the rollback rate of 0.4670 mils. The final fiscal year 2019 annual budget is $111,554,915, which represents an increase of 11.6% from the amended fiscal year 2018 annual budget. The final fiscal year 2019 annual budget consists of the following components. Total operating budget, $78,927,742. Total capital budget, $32,627,173. Total annual budget, $111,554,915.
Are there any questions of staff before we proceed? Any questions of staff before we proceed? Okay. We'll now take public comment regarding the final fiscal year 2019 millage rate and annual budget. Those who wish to speak, I ask that you please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Does anyone wish to, from the audience, wish to make comments? Anyone wishing to make comments? Open the floor for board discussion. If there are any recommended changes to the final millage rate or budget, ask the approval of any changes. Any discussion on that? Any discussion from board members? Public comment is closed. We will now take a vote on the final fiscal year 2019 millage rate and annual budget. The resolution will now be read.
A resolution of the Hillsborough Transit Authority of Hillsborough County, Florida, adopting the final levying of ad valorem taxes for Hillsborough County for fiscal year 2019, adopting the final fiscal year 2019 millage rate of 0.5, and providing for an effective date. Whereas the Board of Directors of the Hillsborough Transit Authority of Hillsborough County, Florida, held a public hearing as required by Florida Statute 200.065, and whereas the gross taxable value for operating purposes not exempt from taxation within Hillsborough County has been certified by the county property appraiser to the Hillsborough Transit Authority as $93,189,360,143, And whereas the Board of Directors of the Hillsborough Transit Authority of Hillsborough County, Florida, set forth to adopt the final fiscal year 2019 millage rate of 0.5 following a public hearing as required by Florida Statute 200.065. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Hillsborough Transit Authority that Section 1, the final fiscal year 2019 millage rate of 0.5 mils, which is more than the rollback rate of 0.4670 mils by 7.07%, is adopted. Section 2, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
State statute requires that we approve the fiscal year 2019 millage rate before we approve the final fiscal year 2019 annual budget. Accordingly, we will vote on each resolution separately. Do I hear a motion to adopt or amend the final fiscal year 2019 millage rate? There's a motion by Commissioner Kemp. Second by Mr. Mechanic and Mr. McLean. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion is adopted. We do now here we have to have a motion to adopt or amend the final fiscal year 2019 annual budget. Is there a motion?
I need to read it.
Oh, you need to read it?
I didn't read it.
Oh, you didn't read it? Okay, forget that. We got to read it.
A resolution of the Hillsborough Transit Authority of Hillsborough County, Florida, adopting the final fiscal year 2019 annual budget of $111,554,915. Whereas the Board of Directors of the Hillsborough Transit Authority of Hillsborough County, Florida, held a public hearing as required by Florida Statute 200.065, and whereas the Board of Directors of the Hillsborough Transit Authority of Hillsborough County, Florida, set forth the appropriations and revenue estimate for the final fiscal year 2019 annual budget in the amount of $111,554,915. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Hillsborough Transit Authority that, Section 1, the final fiscal year 2019 annual budget is $111,554,915. Section 2, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Do I have a motion to adopt or amend the final fiscal year 2019 annual budget? Motion by Mr. Mechanic, second by Commissioner Kemp and Mr. McLean. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, likewise. Motion is adopted. In compliance with Florida statute, 2 public hearings have been held on September 10th, 2018 and September 24th, 2018 for the purpose of considering the fiscal year 2019 millage rate necessary to fund the fiscal year 2019 annual budget. This includes a budget public hearing component of tonight's meeting. Is there any further business? Seeing none, I'll advise you to run your cars. Rain is on the way. Meeting adjourned.
Good job.
Yep. Hey, you know, rain is on the way.